Hi and welcome back. It's been a little while since I've been out in the garage and doing things. That's largely because I lost, I guess is the right word, my storage space where I'd had the last of my projects stored. Now, when I say storage space, I do mean sheds and garages, or sheds and garage anyway. The garage had been occupied by my car. That's now out and sort of back on the road, but it meant that my other long-term project had been put in the garage, and the shed was full of bits and pieces intended for that project. Now, this is a long-term project. Checking back, I've had this since at least 2008. So, and I've not done anything with it, but that's because I had somewhere to leave it. Now I don't, so the time has come where I need to make at least a start on the project, even if I don't actually finish it, even if I sell it as it is. But I don't want to sell it as it is. I wouldn't have kept it all these years if I wanted to sell it as it is. So it's time to do something with it. Now, it's a bit of a shed, of course. It's been sat outside for a very, very long time. But what would life be without a challenge? So let's go and have a look at it, and then I'll maybe talk about it a little bit more. Okay, let's go and have a look. Okay, here we have it. Lomax 223 in rather dilapidated condition. Main issues, well, I think I'll cover them separately, but the main issue at the moment is the fact that the chassis has rotted out. And if we come under here, you can see somewhat in the dark. So I get my fingers out of the lens. You can see that the chassis is basically quite rotted under here, and the skin of here has just come away. Now I was a bit confused as to how this happened, but I'll show you. Now we're taking the passenger seat out. What you can see is here there is a hole, and this is where, as you can see, the seatbelt stalks mount in, and on the 2CV chassis there's a sort of a dent that allow these to mount at an angle. And what's happened is, because this is an open car, the water's collected in here, rusted through, and then of course you've got a little lake down here. So the water's gone and sat in that and then just rusted its way through the bottom half of the chassis. So the challenge basically is to get this all apart and refurbish it. As you can see, it is a three-wheel. It's got the sort of boat back to it. Not the most attractive of kit cars, as I've mentioned, but it will do the job. So now I need to do a bit more investigating, poking around underneath and figuring out how I can get it apart. So I think it's fair to say that there's a fair bit of rust issues inside the body shell here, and because it's a plastic tub, it's like a big bath, and once the water's in, it stays in, which is an issue. So it turns out the driver's seat comes out even more easily than the passenger seat. Because the seatbelt base is just rust. So I'm going to get this out and get a dustpan and clean up some of this mess. Okay, air-cooled flat twin. 2-cylinder, of course, being twin. Disc brakes. All good fun. I've had a look round. I think I can see everything that needs to be disconnected before I can pull the body off. So I'm just giving it a quick spray of releasing fluid, but I'm rather expecting to need the hot spanner to do some of these, but some of them are going to be impossible because they're right next to the fiberglass bodywork, so there's no way in hell you can heat those. Yeah, maybe a hot spanner or something on those. These are going to be fun. I'm expecting to have to cut stuff to get it off, but let's see. Right, now I did say it was a bit of a shed. It is a disaster zone from start to finish, to be frank. There's very little good that can be said of it, aside from the fact that I like it. Now, this car was my brother's. He bought a 2CV, which was a bit of a shed when he bought it, being a student at the time, and eventually the body rotted away, such that it was throw it away or do something with it, and he chose to do something with it. Now, at the time, short of buying another body and bolting it on, which is what we used to do with 2CVs back in the day, or I used to anyway, then there isn't a lot of choice in terms of kits. Now, as you see, obviously that's a kit car. It's got a fiberglass body, and frankly it's pig ugly. There are much nicer kits available, but back then there wasn't really. It was one of the better kits, to be fair, and anyway, the other kit's probably more expensive. There is one I would like to build because it looks really good. It looks much like a Morgan, but I haven't got anywhere to build it because you would need a garage, and I haven't got one. Now, what's happening with this, aside from the seats, which I've just pulled through, I've now just spent the afternoon unbolting what I can unbolt. There's some more to do, but the plan is to unbolt the body, disconnect everything that connects the body to the chassis and engine, and take the body off. Carry the body into the back garden and store it against the shed, and then unbolt gearbox, engine, suspension and so forth, and also carry them through to the back garden. The chassis then is scrap. Not quite sure how I'm going to get rid of it. I'm hoping I can get one of the people who come round and take scrap to take it away. I might need to cut it up a bit so they can move it, but frankly it won't take a lot cutting up by the look of it because it's pretty rotten. And so most of that is because the water got inside the chassis and rusted it from the inside out, but everywhere it's just a shed. The chassis is rotted. The gearbox, when my brother left it, when he buggered off, was, I think it was drivable, but it wasn't in good condition. I know he said it was blown, and he provided a spare gearbox. Drum brake gearboxes are not that easy to come by for 2CVs. Disc brake are much easier, but I don't plan on doing a disc conversion at this point in time because I've got a drum brake chassis. Now, problem is that whilst the car's been stood, water has got down into one of the cylinders, or both of the cylinders. Pretty much the same situation that Rob in New Hampshire had with his trike that he's still building. The engine he pulled out the woods. One of the valves had been open and water had got into the cylinder and seized it. The other three I should say, were okay for him. At least one of the cylinders on there is seized. because again, water's obviously got in through a valve being open somehow through the carburetor or similar, I don't know. But anyway, it's got in, it's seized. So it needs a new engine, it needs a new gearbox, it needs a new chassis. Anyway, as it happens, I have all of those. So they all need to be refurbished. Everything needs to be refurbished and rebuilt. The aim is to get it on the road, to get it MOT'd, not to make it look pretty. It'll never look pretty. Now, funny enough, a year or two ago, I did see one of those, exactly the same as that, painted matte black, decked out in usual rat gear, driving around. It looked quite good. Not sure I'm going to rat it just yet, though. We'll see how the rebuild goes, if the rebuild goes. There's a lot of work, and it's got to be done in the shed here. That means I've got to refurb it, build it, make sure it's all okay, take it apart, carry it down the garden in bits, and rebuild it outside the front, which will be fun. Lucky it's a kit, lucky it's 2CV based, it all bolts together. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully this will go somewhere, but it's a big build and I've put it off for a very long time, at least 8 years I would say. Let's see. Okay, great, thanks for watching, and see you again.